Your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? Well, find your crimes or make it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your price. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
TV is back on the air, broadcasting throughout this entire sector of the galaxy and particularly concentrating here on Tigiak, our beloved home world. Well, what an exciting night I have for you tonight, I hope. I got some videos from 2000, and I'll fill you in a little bit about those as soon as we have some folks rolling in here. Let me just check. And I appreciate everyone who has been coming to the live streams. And I hit a new record yesterday. I've been at 39,800 for the longest time, but I'm now over 40,000 subscribers. So that is very exciting. Swedish Lena, thank you for filling me in on your backstory. That is quite a lovely story she shared with me. And I don't know if, Lena, you published much of that in the chats when I wasn't looking yesterday, but I'm incredibly happy that you've had such a rewarding relationship. And explaining to me how you got from Sweden to UK to Australia. That was quite lovely. I wish I had a story just as exciting as that. Yes, I see that somebody is saying Lupita, Tori is worried about me. Well, I thought this title might cause a little concern. I'm going to talk about my arrest in Chicago back in 2000. It's quite an interesting tale. I hope you'll agree. Fuzzy, hello, Mr. National Treasure. Thank you so much. This is getting around. All across the galaxy now, people realize I'm not just a national treasure. I'm a galactic treasure, but I'm too humble to say that. So national treasure is good enough for me. I heard from Kelly that Tori has been broadcasting in the dark with a power outage in LA, or Burbank at least. I don't know if the lights are back on for her, but I hope everything's fine over there. Okay, where'd that go? Boom, there we go. Nancy Couch, dinner TV, let Tori know that you have not been arrested. No, you don't have to tell her. Let her worry about me for a little bit. And we'll break it to her tomorrow. I'm sure she'll be popping up and finding out what's going on here. Susan, hello, and welcome back. I hope you are all rested from last night's late night adventure. Swedish, Mark, you were such a sweetheart, and I had been in the U.S. instead of UK. Who knows what would have happened? Or had I been? Yes, it could be a completely different world, but I think you are probably where you should be. And I, of course, am here in Clearwater, and I wouldn't want to force you to live here in Clearwater just because I'm insane enough to say I want to come here and fight Scientology and run for office. I have to be considerate of those in my life. Let's see who else is here. Mary James, hi. We agree on the galactic treasure. Well, that's awfully nice of you, but please, I'm a humble person. Unstoppable SP, hello. Welcome. Cinderelli, she spooked. Oh, Tori spooked, and that chat is keeping her company. Well, I hope it's not. There's not a purge going on. You know, the power went out in the city and it's all chaos. Stay inside, Tori. Stay in that, get in the bedroom and put your dresser drawer in front of the door just to be sure. Oh my God, I hope everything's okay in Burbank. Oh, I love when Tori and I chat. Well, yeah, I was planning to do something, hopefully with her tonight, but then I didn't have everything ready for that one. But I've had this ready to go for several weeks now, and I just haven't done a live stream to reveal the videos. So tonight, I hope we have. Oh, she knows that I'm not. Well, I could be under house arrest. Tori, if you're there, hi. I don't see you here, Tori, yet. Her power's out, but she's okay. Yep. Tori does, Tori, I'm fine. But I was arrested. I was arrested way back in 2000. And that's what I wanted to chat about tonight. Because the Lisa McPherson Trust opened right at the beginning of January in 2000. Bob Minton had gathered just a tiny handful of us to come from all across the country to work in a building right next to Scientology's Office of Special Affairs. And in the very first week, I think we opened on like January 3rd of 2000. I think that was the signing ceremony for Bob to purchase the building that we were in. Within the first week, I flew to Chicago to interview two dentists who were defrauded out of $20,000 by Scientology. And no sooner did I get back from that than I joined two German filmmakers who were in town to shoot a documentary about Gottfried Hellwine, a Scientologist painter, successful painter artist rather, who was denying that he was in Scientology. So they came here to do a story about him, and I just went along with them to shoot a little film of them knocking on Hellwine's door. And that was when some guy came out of the house with a hammer and started attacking us and hit my camera a couple of times. So those two incidences, both pretty dramatic, happened in the first week of the LMT. And it was quite remarkable. Let me just check here. I see Matt is saying R.I.P. Mike. He made amends after leaving that brainwashing. Hopefully his kids will know what his dad did. Continue the good work, you old Xenu supporter, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Mike Render did an amazing job. And it was really remarkable to see the worldwide attention that was brought to his passing. So he touched a lot of lives, and his kids, his current kids know exactly how brave and tenacious he was. His son, who's still in Scientology, it would be good for him to someday realize how hard he was working to make life better for him and all the other folks who are still in Scientology. How's this pronounced? Pinochet, Becky? Oh, 0 F's given. Well, that I can pronounce. Hello to you too. Me on it at the same time as Tori is a tough choice. I know. I should have waited. I didn't know how long she'd be going. I figured that with the lights out, she wouldn't be going too much longer. Swedish Lena, I was always surprised that Bob chose that location to open the LMT right next to OSA. Well, I wasn't surprised. If it had been wall to wall, I could have seen them drill holes into the wall for cameras and mic surveillance. I think they have a way of doing this stuff without drilling holes. There was one other kind of business, I think, separating us. I don't remember what it was. I know on the other side of us was a car rental business in a place where I don't know where they kept the cars, maybe in the parking garage across the street. But normally when I think of going to rent a car, you pull into a place where you see all the cars right there where you can say, oh, okay, I'll take this one. But this was just like, a shop. And it was run by a woman Scientologist who made into a news story in Germany. And that was one of the reasons why Ursula Caberta, the German official who was in charge of kind of a watchdog group over Scientology, there was an article in a German magazine, Der Spiegel, I think it was, that detailed how Scientologists were playing the system for political asylum and saying that, we can't get any work because we're Scientologists. And they were, of course, manufacturing letters to, businesses where Scientologists would write back, we can't hire you because you're a Scientologist. And then presenting those to the government to try to cause trouble for Scientology or for Ursula and her group. And that woman with the car shop right next to the LMT was one of those people, as I remember. So it's a small world. But even, we didn't start out looking for a building exactly right next to OSA. Bob was looking for property downtown, and everywhere he went, Scientology would come in after that and scare the people out of leasing property to Bob. We actually were going to rent a space in this tower that's across the street from City Hall now. And I believe it's called the Atrium. And as soon as Bob left there, they got spooked because Scientology ran in. And then afterwards, Scientology bought that building, as they bought almost everything else downtown. But because Bob was not able to lease anything, he had to buy a building. And there was a man who was, I think he was an accountant, maybe a tax attorney. But he had an office that we bought. And he was a good guy. Bob had made a handshake deal with him in the morning. And they came to an agreement. And Bob said, I'm going to go get you the cash. But after I leave here, please do not, make a deal with Scientology. I will be back shortly. And of course, as soon as Bob left, several Scientologists came in and were pressuring the guy saying, hey, we will double the price. And if he sues you, we will handle all the litigation. We'll pay for all of that. And the guy said, no, I shook his hand. I'm sticking with my deal. So that's how Bob actually got that building. And was it the best location for us? Probably not. I mean, I certainly liked being right in the lion's den there, and I thought it made a good statement that we weren't afraid of Slappy and the Office of Special Affairs. But it did make it easy for them to surveil us and have cameras pointed at us. So if any Scientologist did come through our doors, they would know instantly. And we found, as a matter of fact, a hidden little lipstick camera in an empty electrical outlet box right outside our door that was attached to the building, just to the other side of us, not the auto place, but the one closer to OSA. And we climbed up a ladder and saw that pointing right at our door, and actually videotape of a few of us looking at that camera is what got me and some others added to this injunction. I don't know why, but Scientology got this injunction against anyone who worked with Bob. And it started out with just Bob. Then it was 4 people, including me, Jesse, and I forget who else was on there originally. And then that grew to, I think, 13 people, including Tori and a number of other folks. And then, of course, Scientology tried to use that injunction against everybody. People who had never met us and had no idea there was a Lisa McPherson Trust or a Bob Minton or a Mark Bunker or any of us. Even after we left Clearwater, when the LMT closed in 2001, at the end of 2001, they still were hauling out that injunction to give it to anyone who was protesting Scientology in Clearwater. Just insane. I mean, it was specifically earmarked for Bob Minton and those working in concert with him, and Scientologists and those working in concert with Scientology. However, it never seemed to apply the other way. Scientologists would stream into our building periodically, and they never got arrested. If I walked into a Scientology building, I would have been in handcuffs and carted off. Much like you're going to see in this video tonight from Chicago. Now, are you just having trouble typing, Cornelius? Or is this code? His words are Weiss, his face is beard. I appreciate the sentiment. Just have used 2 screens. Steph the writer. Oh, hi, Steph. I probably have no context for that. 49ers fan for life. It's crazy how Scientology pretended like Ursula was this big Nazi. Well, I got to tell you, in the minds of all those Scientologists in Clearwater who were gathered around the airport to harass her, I'm sure Scientology convinced them all that she was a Nazi. And that's the tactic that Heber Jensch used to use even against people who weren't German. In the late 90s, when Heber was actually going nuts in the media all the time, and he got arrested at one point, he was repeatedly saying, Nazis, go back to Germany. So it was not unique when Ursula came to town that dozens and dozens of Scientologists met her at the airport and was shouting that at her. And, I think I actually have video of this Boy Scout leader with this little kid saying, no, this is the Nazi who's coming to attack. This is about Bob, a Nazi who's attacking our religion. And that's another thing that always bugged me. There was, and still is, a Scientology Boy Scout troop in Clearwater. And they used to have a display window on their, I forget the name of the building, on the corner of Clearwater, Fort Harrison and Cleveland Street. It's where a lot of the coursework is done, apparently. And they had, Cub Scout uniforms in there, and proudly talking about the troop. I don't know if it was 29 or whatever it was. That was the Scientology troop. And over the years, the Boy Scouts are saying, oh, you're an atheist, you can't be in here. We don't want you. And there'd be lawsuits about that, or various things. But being a Scientologist, we embrace. So, when L. Ron Hubbard is saying there was no Christ, and your origin story is you are an immortal God who just forgot that you could control matter, energy, space, and time, I would think that would be incompatible if anyone was really interested in looking into that. I don't care, anybody's religion, for any reason. I don't care. But it just seems insane to me that if the Boy Scouts are going to be complaining about anything, why would they sanction a Scientology troop? The kids, I'm sure it was good for the kids. But being a member of the Boy Scouts is probably much better for them than being a Scientologist as a child. How they blend together, I don't quite know. Swedish Lena again. I have to say, Mark, that I thoroughly enjoyed yesterday's stream ending with COB. Oh, it was fun. I did put up a short today, my very first YouTube short, with that clip. So it's easier to get to for folks than having to sit through that entire lengthy video. Kristen Frost, laser beams, Scientology, Boy Scouts. Yep. So that display window is down, but the troop is still in town. Adam the Angler, R6 implant is the whole Jesus didn't exist thing. I should have read that all in advance. Yeah, exactly. Stephen Willis, tying knots is easier when you have control over mist, I guess. Good one. I like that. Kristen, Elron was just an implant memory in everyone's head. Oh, if only. Hi, pretty girl. Thank you. Oh, it's wonderful being a sweet, lovely, pretty girl. Have you ever considered doing a long-form Scientology parody film or a collaboration with someone like Mitch Brisker? The name's familiar. I'm not sure I can place him right now. Fill me in on who Mitch is. A long-form Scientology parody. I've considered. I think there could be a really good musical in it. There already has been one. I don't know if you're familiar with the Unauthorized Children's Scientology Christmas Pageant, I believe was the name of it. I got to see that in LA when they brought the show there. It had played a couple other places. I don't know if it was in New York before it came to LA, but it was a one-act play where they very cleverly got little kids to tell the story of Scientology. And it was very hard for Scientology to attack little kids doing a musical, and it was a lot of fun. There was a little kid who would play Tom Cruise, and I've got the CD of it somewhere. And on the CD, this wasn't in the show, at least not when the show played in LA. But there was a song on the CD that was actually kind of heartbreaking about disconnection. And the show was a huge success. And I know other people have done, like there's one woman who's doing a cabaret act all about her experiences in Scientology. I can't think of her name right now. I didn't get a chance to see her. I have been working on a one-man L. Ron Hubbard show. And I have a lot of ideas for that. Probably a one-act show. And I may incorporate some music into that as well. But I think that would be fun. You got L. Ron Hubbard at the end of his life, holed up in a double-wide trailer, paranoid, delusional. I call it the madness of L. Ron Hubbard. And he's all alone there because Pat and Annie are off for the day, and he's kind of ruminating about his life. And I think it could be a lot of fun. He's going to get on the cans and do a solo audit, and he'll be finding his BTs, and I can imagine the audience being the BTs, so he can see them and talk specifically to his BTs and tell them, okay, you can go now, and see if we can drive the entire audience out of there. But that'd be fun. I hope to actually get that damn thing written and mounted. But a musical would be fun. I can see adding a couple songs to that one-man show because, after all, Ron was the music maker. So I just need to create a few songs for that piece. I think might help. Somerled one, like the Book of Mormon. Yeah. Scientology version called History of Man, Revenge of the Clams. Well, that's a good working title. It's something that is feasible. Kay Gonzalez, love your stories, love your videos, such a joy to watch. Thank you. I don't need to read all this praise, but I'm going to. I saw it. Yeehaw. What did you see? Did you see the children's pageant? Let me know. Kiba Girl made it live. Woo woo. Hello. Bo Beats Black Sheep. Oh, yeah, I heard about that play on one of Chris Shelton's show. He went with his wife and unexpectedly loved it, as the kid factor was unexpected and not triggering to him as an ex-Sino. So kudos to you. Yeah, it was a real clever idea to do it with kids. And I had a chance to meet a lot of the parents. And they had been concerned, but I don't think there was any real repercussions to them that I'm aware of. But it was brave of them to take part in it. And it was more than just a gimmick. It was a really, really smart idea, and the songs were terrific, and it was charming. Got to check this out. Must-read article, L. Ron Hubbard's Last Refuge from May of 2009. Okay, let's see if we can link that. Okay, so down to business, apparently. Steph is asking Fuzzy Pink Handcuff's question. Were the two dentists you were interviewing defrauded through Wise? Yes. Yeah, so let's get down to business, since this is what we're here for tonight. There were two dentists who called the LMT in the first week, as I mentioned. Bill and Barbara Zizek. They're a married couple, both dentists in Chicago. And they got in through Wise. The husband went to one of these seminars and came back. He was impressed. They signed up for it. The wife was reluctant. She said, Scientology? No way. No. But they went, at least he went through the courses. I think she probably did as well. And they became a Wise business themselves. They were, staffing themselves up with Scientologists, and the dentists are going to tell the full story here. But it's interesting because just a month or so ago on the streets of Clearwater, I met a chiropractor who was in town for some some class work for their. It wasn't Wise, it wasn't Sterling. I forget the name of the Wise enterprise. Whatever front group they were using to sucker these folks in. But they didn't know anything about Scientology really, and I explained a little bit about it to the husband, and the wife came over, and she had been talking to some other folks while I was talking to the husband. And I had mentioned to her when she joined us that it's all Scientology material. It's all basically Scientology. For instance, you're going to be learning about suppressive persons, and she went, "Oh my God, that's what they were teaching us today. Today, they were saying, can you name a suppressive person or a suppressive organization?" And so, well, you should have said Scientology. That kind of freaked her out. That, oh my God, this is Scientology. And the husband still said, we spent $10,000 on this, and we're learning basic stuff. And I said, yeah, there's stuff you can glean from it, but the push is going to be on for you to join Scientology. And in the video you're going to see, the husband was all for joining Scientology, and the wife was, no, it's a cult. And it was starting to parallel this couple. And I talked a little. I'll tell you more after we watch that video. But before we do that, let me get to the arrest. This is a pretty brief video. I arrived there. When I arrived on the plane in Chicago, I called them on my way to their office, and they said, Mark, they're here right now. I can't think of the name of the woman. I'll think of it. She's one of the Chicago org people that actually is named in my arrest record report. I had the arrest record blown up into a huge poster, and when I was working at TV stations in San Diego, I had it on my wall there as a badge of honor. So Sylvia Stannard, maybe? That could be. So she was waiting, they called because she was waiting in their waiting room. She was demanding to talk to them. And after they called the LMT and we spoke on the phone, and I said, I'm coming down, I hung up the phone, and then Scientology immediately called them. And the dentist called back and said, they got your phones bugged because they're on the phone with us right now. And I don't know if they really had our phones bugged. Mike Rinder said that, the way they find this stuff out is they have, there are Scientologists who have access to all the airplane bookings for all the companies. You got somebody who's got a travel agency in Scientology, and they can just look up, is Mark Bunker going anywhere? That's how they knew wherever Bob was going around the world, and they'd have Scientologists waiting at that airport for him to hand out leaflets and protest him. Or they knew he was going to vacation with his family on some island somewhere. They'd show up, and on the beach were, all sorts of leaflets against him. But anyway, I get this call from them, and they say, she's here right now. She's here in our office. And I said, well, just keep her there. Don't, I'll show up and we'll see if we can get a little videotape of it. So I was just, maybe 5-10 minutes away when we talked. So I got there, I grabbed my camera. They were on like the third floor of a skyscraper. And I get off the elevator and I go into the waiting room, and there she is sitting right there. And the two dentists then come out and they, oh yeah, here's yes. And I point my camera at her and, ask what's happening here and why won't you give these folks back their money? And she, of course, immediately starts to run, and I follow her down the corridor, and she gets into the elevator and the doors close. And so I had footage of that. And I started doing interviews with both the husband and the wife. And then on, I think the next day, it was a Tuesday night, they were going down to the org to try to get their money back again. For a year or 2 years, I guess it was, they were trying to get back $10,000 that they had paid for courses in advance, and they never took. And after they left, they said, we want our money back. And they were refusing to get a refund. So that's what that's all they were trying to get back, was that $10,000. So we go down to the org, and they're going to go in and sit down and talk with them. I'd stay outside. As they were heading in the door, I put the camera on my shoulder and said, okay, so explain what's going to happen here tonight. And before they could answer, two thugs in black leather jackets came running out of the front door, right between the dentist, and grabbed me by either arm and arrested me instantly. Not, oh, you can't be here, where you're trespassing, you'll have to leave. No, they put cuffs on me and put me into a squad car. Needless to say, I had my camera rolling for all of this. And they one of them was pulling my thumb back to make me loosen my grip on the camera. So I actually just set it on the ground. I didn't want it to fall, and then let go of it. And the husband dentist was, looking at me, and as I'm being cuffed, I'm kind of doing to the camera, and he went over and grabbed it and pointed the camera at us. So there would have been footage of me being arrested and put in the squad car as part of that videotape. And I'm taken down to the precinct, and I'm booked. I'm fingerprinted, photographed. I got a really lovely mugshot out of it. Damn, I forgot I should have had that ready. But really, it's, I'm dressed in a nice coat and, sport coat and dress shirt. And I look pretty spiffy. It's, could have used it as a professional headshot for my acting. And they put me in a jail cell, and the door slammed shut on me. And I just sat there going, I'm in jail. Me. National treasure me, lovable me. I'm in jail. It was really weird. So I made the most of it. I sat there and I was singing, nobody knows the trouble I've seen, and all this kind of stuff to keep myself entertained. Well, after a couple hours, I was pretty bored of all that. And luckily, after about 2 hours, they said, all right, you can post your bail and you can leave. But I couldn't get my camera back because that was in lockup. And they said, you have to come back tomorrow morning and get the camera. So I did. The next day I went back and got the camera. There was a nice young female police officer, almost as pretty a girl as I am. She was pretty, but she was just a nice, sweet girl is what she was. And she brought the camera out, and I said, no, I want you to watch as I open this up, because I want to make sure that the tape is still in there. And it wasn't. And I was really, really pissed. And I I was trying to talk to somebody. I said, okay, get somebody for me to talk to about this because my tape is missing from the camera. And she walked back and forth and eventually said, oh, there's nobody. Okay, well, you saw it. You were the witness, so I trust you. And the next day I went to an attorney. We had to hire a local attorney, and Bob and Stacy got the best in town. We hired this guy, and I can't remember his name anymore. But at that moment, he was on a major murder case that was headline news every single day in the papers. And here I am with my little misdemeanor trespassing thing. And he goes, okay, sure. You know, we give him a $5,000 detainer. And then over the course of months, we kept trying to find some time for him to talk with us about how Scientology treats these things, how serious they are. And he just never had the time for us. Granted, he was one of the top guys. In fact, the very next time I saw him was at my arraignment in Chicago courthouse. It was a packed courthouse with lots of people there to say guilty or not guilty. And he pops in 15 minutes before we're about to go on. And we get called up. I caught, before he arrived, Elliot Abelson, one of Scientology's top attorneys, coming into the courthouse and going back into the back room of the courthouse with the district attorney. And I mentioned that to my attorney when he arrived, and that delayed us for like 45 minutes. Until they got through with their business. And then when I finally got in front of the judge, the district attorney was saying, Your Honor, we're going to add some charges to this. Resisting arrest, battery against a police officer, and because there's a religion involved, we're treating this as a hate crime. And my attorney turned to me and whispered, wow, they're really playing hardball. I said, yeah, that's what we've been trying to tell you. Yeah. Even with that, we still couldn't talk to him for month after month. And we finally fired him, and we hired another woman in Chicago who was a terrific attorney. And we brought up Graham Barry not Graham Barry. I'm sorry, Graham. It wasn't Graham. It was Clearwater attorney Dennis DeFlaming, who had defended Bob in several instances and really knew Scientology through and through. And he's one of the best attorneys in the area. In fact, statewide, he's always out there as a criminal defense attorney. He it gets called on to talk to groups, attorneys and others, to share his experiences. Really, really great guy too. And he defended me and Jesse Prince when Jesse was set up on drug charges. And so we kept him busy while we were in Clearwater. Anyway, we went to trial a year later. And we had a day worth of jury selection. And then the next day, I think we had our trial. We broke for dinner, and everything was, the trial was over by then. We were just waiting for a verdict. And the jury came back in half an hour and found me not guilty because, of course, I wasn't guilty. But it was an interesting experience. And did I really sing? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I did. probably not politically correct anymore to be singing that song, because I didn't attach it to any ethnicity. It's just in old movies, that's what you would sing when you're in jail. At any rate, what was I about to say about that? I was wrapping up this long-winded story. One other thing I wanted to mention from it. That's right. In the course of me being on the stand, and I may not have been a model witness, but I tried my best. The attorney for Scientology, or for the state, was being very hard, trying to get at me. And she was saying, "You're a filmmaker, huh? You ever won any awards?" And I said, "No, not yet." And I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be making jokes. So I was a little ashamed of that, but I liked it. It was something I couldn't resist. And then a couple of years later, I won an Emmy Award, and I had to email that Chicago attorney to say, "Hey, remember that moment? I got an Emmy." So that was, it was an interesting experience. And through the course of the entire affair, and it took like a year from the arrest to the not guilty verdict, I wasn't really worried at all, because I know I didn't do anything. But the other shocking thing, when we got the two officers who were working off duty for them, they were on the stand and they testified that they got $300 to be sitting there for a few hours before we arrived. And they were being fed all these stories about how dangerous I was, and how I was there to create a disturbance, and I was, you had to stop me. And so they were, hell bent on doing their job of getting rid of me. And we also had the young officer who was the witness to me opening up the camera. And I thought, okay, I can trust her. But she had a completely different demeanor when she was on the stand. And she was very, very upset about the whole thing, and said that, well, clearly he took the tape and he was pretending. He purposely made me watch it so he'd have an alibi or something like that. And I just went, you really, I hate to think of any officer being corrupt. And I don't know if you'd call that corrupt, but I just expect them to tell the truth. That's all. I was a young, naive man at the age of 40, and a pretty girl at the same time. And so I was a little disappointed by that. And it turned out she was the daughter of the captain of the precinct. So, but at any rate, the jury found me not guilty. And here's a confession that I haven't told this story before, but as the trial was over and the courtroom was heading out, I talked to the attorney who was against me, and I said, the cops did steal the tape, and because they did, and she's making this defense saying, no, yeah, you're lying. And so I just had to mention that. And then she apparently told the cops. And one of them came back at me very angry. I was out in the hall by that time. We were heading toward the elevator, and he confronted me. It was, I did not steal the tape. Well, I don't know if it was you. Maybe it was the other one. I didn't say that, but I mean, he was livid. And Stacy, oh, Mark, did you say that? And I was under oath in the courtroom. I told the truth. I tell the truth as much as I possibly can. But I was so worried because Bob had spent $60,000 defending me. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, did I just do something horrible that's going to cost Bob another $60,000 or more? And I went, well, I'm not sure I said that. And, I always felt guilty about that, having, lied about that to Stacy and to my attorney. But I'm coming clean now, okay? But what I said was the truth. Somebody stole the tape while it was in lockup, and one would think it would be a police officer who was captured on that tape. Anyway. Hey, I've been talking a lot. It's oh my God, we're an hour in. I haven't even started showing you any of this footage. Was my tape ever returned? No. I had different advice on this. The Chicago attorney, this was one other point I wanted to mention when we were first there for my arraignment. And my front headline making top attorney came to my side. One of the bailiffs in the courtroom went, "You've got the best attorney in the city." Oh yeah, okay, great. Not that he was any help, but he when we told him, listen, the tape is missing, he said, "Don't report it. Don't make a report on it because you'll just get the police mad." And so I didn't. And meanwhile, back in Clearwater, Police Lieutenant Ray Emmons from the Clearwater Police, who had investigated Scientology, was pretty adamant that we should have filed a challenge to that with internal affairs. But my top attorney in Chicago said, "You'll just piss them off." Either way, I don't think we ever would have gotten the tape back. So I lost that great footage and part of the interview that I had already done with the dentists. So we had to start over again. And we decided to stop one night outside the org, again, across the street from the org, to tell the story of the arrest. And this is my long-winded introduction to that video. So let's take a look at that, shall we? I'm going to put that on stage here and...
January in Chicago. There's no better time and no better place than this to be arrested. Take it from me. I'm Mark Bunker, and welcome to the new TV. Right behind me is the Church of Scientology Chicago org. Just 2 nights ago, this is where I was arrested.
We had asked Mark to come with us, and we were going to ask permission for him to come inside to get our refund, our money back.
But what happened was two police, two men in black jackets, jumped Mark and wrestled the camera from him, and we didn't know.
Announce that they were police, didn't read them as Miranda rights.
Yes, this is the place. 2 nights ago, right here, I was on the sidewalk in front of the Chicago org when 2 off-duty police officers raced out, grabbed me, and put me under arrest. Don't believe me? Watch the tape. Oh, that's right. We don't have the tape because the police stole the tape. It's missing.
With these 2 goons, these 2 guys in leather jackets, black, dressed in black, jumped Mark and were trying to get the camera away from him, and they were telling him, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. So they knew the camera was on and the film was in there because it won't run without the film. And then they were, he was saying, "Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Leave me alone." And they can't film, turn it off, that's enough. So they grabbed the camera and tried to push it on the ground. They threw a cell phone on the ground.
We didn't do anything. We were just standing outside of the building. He was behind us towards the street, away from the building. 2 men came out of nowhere and jumped him. So I said, you're not police. I want to see your ID. And he flipped me a badge. And I said, well, let me look at it really good because I can't see it. And he showed me the badge and there was no face on it. It was rubbed off. So I said, you're a fake police. I said, you're acting like this is Nazi Germany. This is America. You can't push somebody around. We just have a camera. We didn't do anything. I said, what's your name? And they said, it's none of your business, lady. We're taking him in. They handcuffed him and they were going to take him to the police. I don't know where. I said, where are you taking him? He says, it's not your business. I said, it is so, because I'm a citizen, and I want to know. He came with us. What is he charged with? So one guy, he told me his name was Joe Blow. He was like really cool. And the other ones said we're taking him in for criminal trespassing. And all the other police came, and then at that point we, told them our story. But to make a long story short, they took Mark in handcuffed for no reason. Never read him his Miranda rights, never identified who they were when they jumped him, and they took the film. The film's gone. So isn't that kind of funny? The film is gone, it's missing. It took him a whole day to get his camera. Plus the police were yelling at him. So Pam Valinsky, who flew in from New York to talk to me to try to pressure me into taking a small settlement for the money they owe me, she said that they hired these people to protect them. Now, the week before, we had an incident here, and the police themselves made the appointment for us to go talk to them about getting our money back. So we had an appointment scheduled with them. They knew it. And they had this all planned because they don't want anyone witnessing what they're doing. They want to keep it hidden. They don't want people to know they're linked with dentists, chiropractors, optometrists, and probably veterinarians. How they funnel them in through the business. I would have never, I'm Catholic, I would have never come to this church if I hadn't been funneled in here through the Marcus.
Attempt to frighten the Zizeks into silence. At this, they didn't succeed.
Well, I just feel as though I've been ripped off by the Church of Scientology and swindled out of my money, and I intend to get my money back. That's my intention, and I will get it back. And I will tell my friends, all my dentist friends, about this Marcus operation and how they're a feeder group for the Church of Scientology. You can be sure of that.
So if you're ever in Chicago and you have a moment, take it from me, old number 396. Stop by the org and tell them Xenu TV says hello.
Oh, those are the two officers there. So I don't know, I don't remember which one of them was the one who confronted me in the hallway at this point. I know one of them got an award for being a great cop, not for this, but in the year or so after that. I hope it's not him. So they were good people. And as I said, they've been trying to get $10,000 back for 2 years. Once this happened, and we were going to trial, Scientology decided that they were going to give back the Zizeks every single penny that they had given to the church. So they got over $100,000 back, and they gave them an extra $10,000 for all of the wise materials that the dentists were going to donate to the Lisa McPherson Trust. In the interview, my eyes are just watering. I'm not crying over any of this, as much as I easily cry. So they got everything back, including an extra $100,000. But the deal was they would get that money, $10,000 a month. And they, I'm sure Scientology thought, well, this is going to silence the Zizeks. But Scientology didn't realize I already had the interview, and I had it edited, ready to go. So, and the Zizeks testified on my behalf in the trial. So they didn't silence the Zizeks. And then as soon as the trial was over, I published the video. So their interview got out and they got every cent back that they deserved. So there was a happy ending for it, except, of course, that my having the video up seemed to be a problem for them in their business, because people were doing a search for a dentist online in Chicago, and they'd see, what's this, Scientology? What? Huh? They were ripping people off by all these Scientology tactics of charging for things that weren't necessary. So they weren't happy. They wanted them. I said, I won't take them down, but I'll remove your name from them. So if you searched for dentists in Chicago, or if you search for Zizek rather, you wouldn't find these particular videos. You can see it on screen, but not in any of the text that I put up along with the video. So I hope that helped them a little bit, I hope. And I haven't talked to them since then, but, you know, it's 25 years later. I'm not sure that they're in practice anymore. I haven't done any check there. All right. Yes, the Krista, as I just mentioned, the dentists were great. They did testify on my behalf, and they remained really terrific people throughout the entire thing. Now I've got the dentist interview here, and we can watch that. We're already an hour in with my babbling about the arrest. And the interview with the dentist is like an hour 15. Do you folks want to watch it tonight? Or do you want to save it for a different night? I'm going to have you vote on this. Let me know what you think. I think it's an interesting video. I can at least start it. And if you say, oh, you know, I'm kind of tired of this. Oh. Marcy? M. Pocus, that's crazy, Becky. Wow, I shouldn't be surprised, but it's crazy, Becky. That's crazy, Becky. I think I'm lost. Did Becky say something? Is there a Becky that says something that's crazy? It's crazy, Bunky. Keep going, please. Eileen says. Kelly's telling me, oh, Babylon. All right. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's start watching this video. Again, I'm incredibly appreciative of the fact that they opened up their dentist office to me. I interviewed them separately. Wise Babbler Man. Okay, well, it fits. And yeah, can I upload it as well as Babylon is tonight? Steph is asking. It's already uploaded. I've had it uploaded for a month or so now, and I just never got around to doing one of these live streams. So as soon as we're done with this, I will push the button and make that video, the full video, public. So let's take a look at their interview.
In January of 2000, I traveled to Chicago to interview two dentists who were defrauded by Scientology after signing up for management training courses.
Okay, this looks good on this new patient. We're going to do exam and x-rays and have Lisa do the probing.
I spoke with Bill Zizek at their office and Barbara Zizek at their home.
Well, my first exposure to L. Ron Hubbard, I never even knew who he was at a free seminar by the Sterling Group, Sterling Management Group. We went, and I saw a classmate there, and we were laughing, ha ha. This is kind of weird. You know, it's kind of weird, but it makes sense because it stresses organization. And dentists have so much going on, we always want to be more organized. We have a lot of things to oversee. Staff, tons of equipment, the public, you know, our patients, all kinds of licensing agencies. I mean, we're always trying to be better organized, to deliver better. So this was really appealing. But the first group we went to the free seminar for a couple hours, and they wanted to have Bill sign up for $15,000 worth of courses that he had to go out west for. He had, you know, and that was for him. Probably they would charge me $15,000 as well. And so I said, forget it. We're not going to do that. I said, no, you know. And so right away they kept calling him and kept calling him. And he said, well, my wife says no. And so they said, well, you should really just get rid of your wife because she's stopping you in your progress. So just get rid of her. So they kept sending him material and calling him. And I'd say, just hang up. They were very persistent. I never encountered a group of persistent people like these before, believe me. And so they kept sending literature, L. Ron Hubbard stuff, and I'd just throw it away. I throw it away. I thought, this is devil stuff. I saw the commercials with the volcano. It looked like the devil himself coming out. And I thought, what is this? It looks sinister or evil. I just always had a feeling I didn't like it. So Bill went to another management seminar a few years later, maybe 5 years later, a free seminar that he had gotten a flyer in the mail about, how to get more patients and stuff like that. Every dentist is interested in that. And he went and he came back and he said, boy, I met the nicest dentist. He used to be in Plymouth, Indiana. And he's one of the head partners of this group. He made so much money in Indiana. He tripled his practice. He was very successful. He's a nice guy. You know, he's like from the middle USA, and we have a place in Indiana, and I thought, this is cool. You know, I'd like to meet this guy. Bill seemed really happy about the meeting, and so he took me to their offices. And as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I looked around and I saw books by L. Ron Hubbard. And I'll tell you, a fear just gripped my heart. It was like somebody threw a cold bucket of water on me. I felt like I was being duped. You know, I thought, what is Bill doing? You know, where is he taking me? This is not business. This is like L. Ron Hubbard. And I remembered looking on the bookcase and they had like a little black velvet cloth. And I thought, oh, this is spooky. You know, who puts a black velvet cloth on a bookcase except a church or some cult or something? It was black, you know. So I was like ready to bolt right then. And then I saw these two little old ladies, you know, with glasses, bifocals. And I thought, well, they look kind of normal. Maybe, you know, and Bill's saying, oh, come on, you got to just take the personality test or the stress test. Just, you know, just hear what they have to say. And then if you don't like it, we'll leave. I thought, okay. You know, I'm not going to start a big fight about it. I'll just see what it's about. And so we met Louis Cologne, one of the head guys. And they had kept us waiting, and I was kind of upset because we had rushed to get there. And he goes, well, you know how things happen. And he calms you down right away. And he takes you in the office. And he kept us in his office for like the whole day. I don't know if it was because he was rocking in his chair, just kind of going, you know you have problems. You know you need to improve yourself. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But the thing is he knew which buttons to push. He knew exactly the areas that we needed to improve. And I thought, wow, you know, here's somebody that'll speak frankly to you. You need to do this, you need to do that. And it seemed very appealing. And so we signed up for like the program, which was maybe $18,000 worth. And I said, you know, we can't pay for this now. There's no way that we have $18,000 to just pay for all the courses. He said, don't worry, just give me all your credit card numbers and then we'll just take, you know, we'll just take a portion here and there, you know, till it's paid off. And Bill said, no, you know, I want to send you a check. I'll give you a check out of the business. I'm not going to do that. And he says, well, you have to do it today. If you don't do it today, forget it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get started. If you want to get started, you got to do it today. Maybe he gave us something free if we did it today or something, an enticement. So when I had and signed up and they took our charge cards and ran each one through and tried to see, you know, how much they could take off of each one. And that was the beginning of it.
This happens to be a summary of the tone scale made over by Marcus Group that they used to show us what suppressive people were and what the different tone levels were so that we could deal with people more efficiently. They were training us in the tech of L. Ron Hubbard, under the guise of doing dental seminars in order to improve your business. What they were really doing is setting us up and conditioning us for acceptance of LRH technology.
You know, we went to the first seminar, and when I first went to the seminars, I could see what they were doing. I thought, gosh, they're just trying to sucker everybody in. You know, they're having you take out your charge card. And, well, at first they were talking about the charge cards. They said, if your wife is upset about the interest, or if you're worried about charging things and getting an interest, don't be that way. If you're that way, your patients are going to be that way. So don't be like that. They said, you know, you have to get comfortable using credit, and you should get more charge cards. Really open up more so that you have more credit limit now available to you for expansion and for what you need.
So this is one of our first seminars. It was on selling. It was given by Greg Wintereg, Ravane Marcus, and Louis Cologne. And they give you the definitions for overt of commission and overt of omission. And then they tell you once you have too many overts and too many withholds, it ruins your control. You're not able to control your practice, your patients, your marriage, your business. And they use this to have you go to the Church of Scientology to get rid of these overts and withholds and these things that are holding you back. And then what they don't tell you, though, is that they're using mind control. They're getting a commission for referring you to the church, and they're a feeder group to send to dentists and chiropractors and veterinarians and optometrists who have businesses that have money that they can tap into this resource and feed this money into the Church of Scientology.
You'd hear them talk about charge cards, charging. They would be very chauvinistic about women, you know, would always be putting them down. And I'd always raise my hand and go, hey, what do you think you're doing, you know? You could use a man for that example, or why are you picking on women? And I remember I met one of the wives of one of the Jewish dentists in the washroom, and she goes, honey, you're new, aren't you? I said, yeah. She said, well, honey, after a while, you don't even ask questions anymore. She says, but at first, all the new ones ask questions. And that's the way it goes, because as I went on, I never asked any more questions. It started to make sense. But he would say the same things over and over, and then you got familiar with the thinking, and that's their theory. If you say it over and over many times, people start to believe it, and that's what happens. And so we started with the courses, we tripled our business, we were doing real well, but there was always the stress of having staff come and go. I mean, the girls were literally jumping out of their shoes because they would tell you that your staff has to go along with these ideas, that they have to be part of the team. They have to understand what you're doing. But a lot of what they were bringing in wasn't really management. It was more religious. It had a religious slant. They'd always put down psychiatrists, drug companies, drugs. You know, I mean, it just didn't make sense to the average person. Let's put it that way. You know, that wasn't indoctrinated. And the staff were just shocked, you know, they just wouldn't perform like that. They didn't want to believe what was being said. And if they sensed any doubt in anyone, they all gang up on you to change your mind. That's their whole thing. No one can think for themselves. They're all like a bunch of little ants, a bunch of little bees following one person. You know, there's no individual thinking, really, about things like religion or beliefs. It's all like that.
I just feel as though I've been wronged, and in my other dental professionals, if I can help anybody to prevent this from happening to them and their family, I'm going to see to it that they have the knowledge that I have from firsthand experience and how they affected my life and my credit and my business. They infiltrated our business by getting Scientologists to work in the office. They would recommend that these patients, these employees, be hired because they're so clean and good and ethical and honest. Because they've gotten all their overts and withholds off, and they were clear, quote, clear, whatever that means. Run your, because nobody would stay in the business once they heard it was L. Ron Hubbard, or they heard it was Scientology. persons that were running our office were Scientologists, and as soon as the employees would find that out, they would leave or be fired. I had 80 W-2s one year. It cost me $4,000 for W-2s during 1990, I think it was 95 or 96. But I could be more specific on that if I looked up my records. In fact, I did see them the other day. I think it's 96. But I feel as though they've wronged me. They'll do whatever they can do to get your money. They'll chew you up and spit you out and forget about you. I know of other cases where some of the dentists have committed fraud with the banks to get money, to borrow money. And I mean $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 at a crack. I know of instances where they've imitated people in order to get loans, pretend there's somebody else on the phone to get loans. And then because you were unable to do it or unwilling to do it on your own, they would do it for you. They would tell you what to do, who to talk to, how to talk to them, how to get the money. They would have you take your hard assets and make them into liquid assets by refinancing your business or refinancing your houses or refinancing or selling your investments in order to make your cash liquid. Then they would try to split up a marriage, get patients or personnel, the clients, to divorce so that they could divide and conquer. They could isolate you. They isolate you from your family. Everybody is an SP to you. There's nobody in your family that you can trust any longer. I mean, it's just a windmill. It's just devastating to you and to life and to your family. I feel so upset about it, and I want everybody to know that that this needs to be exposed to protect other dentists in the country.
It kind of fractured our family apart. It splintered it apart. It pointed out everybody's flaws in the family. Like, my daughter was real unhappy by the fact that Mom was never home and Dad was never home. We were always at the church doing courses till late at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And when I told the people that scheduled, gee, you know, my daughter really misses me and she's crying for me, they said, well, you know, the importance is that you spend a few minutes with her every day, but you have to get on with yourself. You have to improve yourself. So it wasn't really a fostering of the family. Children were just kind of incidentally there and to be dealt with. And it made it very difficult for my children. My son was more enthusiastic about it. My daughter wasn't, because she missed Mom. But my son was intrigued by it. He was interested by it. And when he was 13 or 14, they tried to recruit him into the Sea Org. And that's an organization where you sign a contract for like 1 billion years or a couple million years or something. And you live and you work for them. I mean, they started trying to recruit him. And essentially, the Sea Org is where you work for free, and you're just kind of their slave from morning till night. I mean, you don't go on with education. They educate you themselves. And, you know, everything is slanted. There's no open education. I mean, Hubbard has his own ideas. Science is wrong. History's wrong. Medicine's wrong. I mean, it just... In looking back, I can see how it just strips away all the beliefs that we grew up with our whole lives. But at the time, when they're building that in your head and kind of replacing what you know with new information, it doesn't seem so bizarre as when you can just look at the whole package. But the way it's spoon-fed to you, it kind of really sucks you in and you don't even realize it's happening. And I know a lot of people think that it can't happen to them, and I always thought that too. And I don't know how it happened, I don't know at what point it happened, but it happens. And they're very covert, it's very subtle, and it's very insidious. You don't even know what's happening. You really don't know. Too late. By the time you're far gone, it's really hard to make you realize what's going on and to see the truth for what it is. Well, the first things we started to do were, at some of the seminars, were bull baiting. That's where you learn to keep your cool no matter what people say to you. And so it was kind of a game that we'd play at home, where my son would sit in the chair and my daughter would tease him and try to get him to react. And he'd see if he could sit still and not react. And we had a lot of fun with that. The whole family did that. So at first we thought it was new and intriguing and fun. But then later, my daughter, she really didn't like it. She thought it was boring. She was really upset that she had to sit around and wait for me when I was in session or in classes. And she was very traumatized by it. I mean, we never had dinner together. We never went to church together anymore. We never did family things together. It was like all put aside to just keep, going towards the bridge to try to improve yourself. And like I said, this was a gradual process, but not only did they want all your money, they want all your time. It's just like they splinter you out. And I don't know how more people don't break from it. It's so stressful to live that way. You feel like you're on a treadmill. You're running to work to make enough money to pay for the courses that you need to take so that you can take more time off to take the courses. You just are running in circles. You're chasing your tail, literally chasing your tail.
You said that your daughter would be waiting for you. Was she waiting at the org quite often?
Yeah, she'd wait at the org or she'd wait at home.
Did they ever put her to work while she was there?
Oh yeah, they'd have her fold envelopes and do things like that.
So this was pretty standard when she'd be waiting, they'd have her?
Oh yeah, they'd try to recruit her to help, and I'd say, oh Jojo, why don't you go ahead and help, rather than sit there. She would take courses, but she never really liked them. I know she did the purification, which is where they give you massive doses of vitamins. I've done the same thing, and my son and my husband did it. And she hated it. She'd pour the pills out and pour the drinks out, and they never knew, but we're real proud of her.
And your son, when he was at when he was away at military school, they tried to have him.
Oh yeah, they wanted him to recruit other kids and to bring kids into the church. And so he did bring some kids there, and that was when he thought it was a good thing, when we believed in it. And they always said, oh, you have to bring more friends in, we want to spread it. The ultimate goal is to take over the world. I mean, it's not just like to help people have a good religion and improve yourself and your being. No, the whole purpose is to take over the whole world. To take over the whole world, and if they take over the whole world, no one will think for themselves ever again, because they downplay any kind of news media, any kind of radio, TV, any kind of informative way. I mean, they always used to knock the ADA, the American Dental Association. The business group would knock that, the Marcus group.
We were talking about the Pure. You actually have damage from it.
Yeah, I have elevated liver enzymes, and I'm having a hard time getting insurance from it. And what they do is they send you to a chiropractor to clear you for the purification. Because I think that any medical doctor, any normal medical physician would say, wait a minute, what is this program? And I don't think you should do it. So they have a chiropractor clear you to do this purification rundown, but the chiropractor is always a member of the Church of Scientology, and they've already been into it and they've been brainwashed anyway, so they think it's a good thing. And the church is always number one. It exceeds the government, your profession, everything. So if Hubbard says, if Ron says it's good for you, then you put all the stuff, all your learning aside, and I don't know how that happens, but you do, and you go ahead with this program. And as a result of taking massive doses of niacin, I believe that that's why my liver enzymes are elevated. And I'm looking into that now, but niacin has been linked to creating liver problems, and that's never revealed to you or anything when you're in the purification. It's run by a kid. It's a kid that's doing it. He oversees it, he's done it before, he's your overseer. He has no medical or professional background at all. It's just a kid, that they recruited, that believes in it too. And believe me, there's a lot of doctors that are not MDs, but I mean a lot of optometrists, dentists, chiropractors that are doing this purification. So it's not just the lay people, it's also professionals that they're duping into it.
Who you would think would know better, at least the medical physicians, you would think they...
Well, you know better when you have your own mind. But when you're under this influence, I'm telling you, everything gets tossed aside. You just don't know better.
Do you remember when your feelings about Hubbard may have shifted?
You know what? It was so subtle, and it was so gradual, and it was so over a period of time. I don't know when it shifted. I really don't know when it shifted. And I, even though some of the stuff made sense to me, I always gripped to the fact that I was a Catholic. That was like my saving thing. I'm Catholic, but because I was afraid, you know. I was afraid. It just frightened the pants off of me, the whole cult idea of it. And then the leader of the business group, Ravane Marcus, he met with us, him and his wife. They took Bill and I to dinner. And all through dinner, they said, oh, you'll just be best friends. We're going to help you improve your practice, but you have to improve yourselves. If your relationship improves, then your business will improve and things will go better. And so, of course, Bill and I wanted to improve, and that was our downfall. We wanted to improve.
There were people from the Church of Scientology downtown in Chicago, referred to as the Org, that would come to the Marcus Group and be introduced to the clients of the Marcus Group, who were professionals, dentists, chiropractors, veterinarians, and optometrists. And they would become a friend of yours. And so you were associated with them, and they would then invite you to come downtown. And you knew that somebody that was downtown was somebody you had met up there at the Marcus Group. And then all it takes is a little prodding from Ravane Marcus or Greg Winterig or Louis Cologne to say, well, you're dirty, you're a drug personality, you need to get cleaned up, get rid of your withholds and overts, confess it all and get yourself clean so you can be a real powerful being and go out there and produce big time and make a lot of money, $1 million a year out of your practice, and pay for all of these courses and pay for going up the bridge and pay all the money that you work so hard for morning till night, 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week to make your practice boom. They're taking advantage of your ability as a professional to make money and then manipulate you to give them money to them for courses and books and for going up the bridge, which are more courses and books that the Church of Scientology administers.
So we started taking courses at the church. And when we first went in there, it seemed okay. There were like sofas around. It doesn't seem like a bad place. And they have course rooms, and of course doctors have been through so much school they can relate to course rooms. We like classrooms. You feel like you're back in school. It didn't seem like a church or feel like a church. And that was on the surface, you know, but it kind of takes a twist. And I always compare it to like being on a diet that, you know, when you first go on a diet, it's really healthy for you. And it's good because you're getting control of yourself and your weight and you feel good. But then there's that point in which you can take it to excess and maybe become anorexic. And where a good thing can turn bad. That's what happens with this group or this religion. The initial ideas are okay, you know, a lot of it's common sense, but it's just written down. But then it takes this funny twist, and it goes off into an area that's really kind of black and scary. It's not good. But by the time it takes that twist, they already have you so indoctrinated, you can't really see the twist coming. And that's what happens.
So you're in the course room, and you have to do a clay demo.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I'm an artist. I mean, that was fun. I like messing with the clay, you know, but to think you're paying $7,000 to play with a chunk of clay and make little people, it was okay. But see, what wasn't okay is you had directions on what you had to demonstrate, an action or something in your life to help you, you know, clear it out of you or straighten it out or figure it out. But the girl that was teaching it, she would interpret the question one way. This was Amy. And then we went to Louis, the head guy, and he said, no, redo it because you've been doing it wrong. So now I'm thinking, okay, this kid's in charge of the course room. She's telling me what to do, but she's telling me the wrong thing to do. Now the head guy's telling me something different. So number one, how many people did she tell to demonstrate things in the wrong way for $7,000 a pop? And number two, was I getting out of it what I was supposed to be getting out of it? So, you know, I remember doing that whole course 2 times.
Because you...
But you pay each time.
And you did it twice because?
Because we needed to do it again. It's our fault. We weren't as good as we should be. Okay? But that little doubt, that seed of doubt was in my head when we came to a step and she had interpreted it incorrectly and she's supposed to be the classroom instructor. This is his daughter, his stepdaughter, and she's been in it all her life. And what really floors me is these people that have been in it all their life, they're not even up the bridge, you know, the learning thing, as much as they're pushing these doctors to go up it. You know, like when Louis was like the head of the thing, he hadn't even been through stage 3 yet. You know, and his kids hadn't done the purification and they hadn't gone up or had auditing, and they're pushing all of us like we have to do it, you know, like today, yesterday.
And the money you're paying for these courses, it's all tax deductible, right? Or
it's presented as payments for courses. It's never said that it's a donation. It's not like, do you want to donate $50,000? I would say no. But they say, do you want, you know, you have to buy these courses, you know, and auditing packages for your self-improvement. This is for your whole life. That's another thing. You purchase a course, you purchase books. It's not, and then they say, but it's tax deductible. Well, that's kind of like double gravy, you know, but they don't say, well, you're donating it, and if you don't do this, you're never going to get the money back.
But was it called a sale price, or was it called a fixed donation, or something along that lines?
It was never called a donation.
Okay.
Never did they call it a donation. Only when you don't take the courses and you change your mind and you want your money back, then it's a donation. But I'd always say it's not really a church. I mean, they have tax-free status, but it's really like a school. It's courses. It's not really a church. They never have like a service where everybody goes. There's never like an altar or anything or prayer together. It's nothing like that. It's really like a school where they indoctrinate you the whole time.
So you never attended any type of Sunday service or any type of...
No. In fact, one of the ladies that ran the place, she says, oh, you know, I'm also a chaplain. I said, get out of here. You have chaplains in this place? You know, or some kind of a... She goes, oh, yeah. We thought that was really funny because we'd been going there for quite a while and we never knew she was a chaplain or that they even had one.
So no one said, why don't you come to our service on Sunday?
They don't have services. I never heard of that. They have classes. You have to go in the course room. You have to take classes, very expensive classes, or have auditing. But I never heard of a service of any kind.
You became much more interested in Scientology than your husband, and this concerned other members of your family too, that you were going a little deep into this, didn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I had friends from the States calling my sisters that live in Europe. telling them that they were concerned about me and I had gone off the deep end and what was I doing. And my family members were upset at home and keeping me kind of upset, writing me letters and things, which is a good thing to do if anyone in your family is in a cult, especially Scientology. Keep them upset because they can't go on with their auditing. You know, they're going to get fed up eventually. So every time someone said something, I'd have to go to the ethics officer and read like all these reports about people that say bad things about other people and their religion, and then I'd have to write a report on it, and it just took me way off what I was trying to do, which is continue with the courses. So it was a good thing because it stopped, and it caused at one point such a big interruption that I just said, forget it. They wanted you to convert. Everyone in your family has to believe what you believe. If they don't believe it, you have to just like disconnect from them. I'm from a close-knit Italian family. It's really hard for me to want to disconnect with the people, but I was with my family, but I was getting pushed into that. And I was getting pushed to separate from my husband. I mean, I think they figured out that I was a soft touch and he wasn't. He just got so fed up giving them money. Their whole idea is when you need it, at the time of need is the time that you pay, not at the time of taking the service. When you need it, you have to pay for it. And it just got to be like a joke among the doctors in our group. We're like, oh no, they're calling this poor guy in. He must need something. Or if he has a problem, he should shut up. Because if he says he has a problem, it's going to cost him like 5 or 10 grand, you know? So the family helped by keeping me upset enough to where I stopped, and they took me off auditing. You know, they said, oh, you can't go back. You have to take more courses. But I think the truth of it was that I had given them a big chunk of money, and they didn't want to mess with me. They were just going to let me sit and spin. So they put me in the classroom with these baby courses, you know, taking a teddy bear and rubbing its tummy. I don't know what the heck I was doing anymore, stupid stuff like that. I thought, oh my God.
What is this? You were rubbing?
Yeah, you have to do like some kind of things on a teddy bear or something. I don't know. I don't even remember
what that was all about.
I probably want to just forget it. But it's in the course, I think, How to Be a Scientologist. Maybe it's like an assist where if someone gets hurt, you do all that, whatever.
Were you ever able to successfully assist someone with a problem?
No.
Did you ever try?
Yeah, but no.
And you were never able to leave your body at will and exteriorize?
I wanted to believe that I did, but I think during like an auditing session, I think maybe I just fell asleep or something. I wanted to go, oh yeah, I was out there in the universe. But some of my friends say I was always out there in the universe, so whatever. I wanted it to really work, I mean, it was costing me a lot. I wanted it to work, and it wasn't working. My life was just more and more ugly and unhappy. I've been married almost 29 years now, and the first year I didn't have New Year's with my husband was when I was involved in the church and we were supposed to be divorcing. I went into Louis Cologne and I said, Bill and I are just still butting heads about the office. We're butting heads. I don't know what to do. You got to call him in and talk to him and straighten him out, And he said, well, how many times do you think you've lived? And of course they tell you you've lived like millions of times. And he said, well, do you think you've had a lot of husbands? I said, oh yeah, probably. He goes, well then, get rid of them. Well then, divorce them. Like that, because if they could get Bill out of the way, then they could get access to my money, the checkbook, very easily. I was just kind of like zombed out by then. You don't get any sleep. You don't interact with any of your family. You work like a dog, to keep your statistics up because you're feeding the Marcus Group your statistics, okay? So they know everything you're doing in your business. And they know when you have a good month, that's when they hit you up for a lot of stuff. That's how it works. And by you going to their classroom, they're always in contact and communication with you. So when they see you, they say, how's it going? Well, it's okay, but you know, Bill kind of snapped at me and, oh, okay, let's give you the marriage, this is that course, or let's give you this course, or how to tell when someone's an SP, a suppressive person. Take that course, you know. So let's, you know, $6,000, let's sign you up today. And Bill would say, oh, I'm not paying. I got a credit of $20,000. What, you think I'm stupid? And I'd go, Bill, please, we don't want to get them. I don't know at what point they got me. Believe me. I just wanted to be really perfect.
But you remember the moment when you decided to get out?
There were several things.
Okay.
Several things. Okay. One was the fact that they had gotten a big chunk of my money. Okay. And it took like everything I had to put this money together. And when the money was coming in, everyone started calling my office. They knew money was coming. All the different agencies of Scientology. They're like a bunch of vultures fighting over you just to get a piece of it. Okay. Each one wants you to commit to their cause. They don't care. They don't work together. They each want their chunk. Why? Because then their statistics look good and they get a bonus. It's not about the person or what's good for them. It's like, where can we get the money to meet our statistics? That's all they want to do.
Do you remember the different agencies that were calling you Scientology? Different.
The IAS, Flag, and then of course the church in Chicago. Each one wanted their own piece, you know, of money, and there just wasn't enough to go to everybody for what they wanted. And I gave a chunk to the IAS, and I know she promised me, she said, don't worry, you know, if you give me this money, I'm not going to deposit it right away. And last time she said that, it went right away. You know, she didn't hold it for a day like she promised. Well, the same thing happened this time, you know, and it just kind of like stuff like that irritated me. Here, you think it would irritate me they're taking $12,000 or whatever. No, I don't know. So there were different agencies all wanting the money, and then each one got angry that I didn't give it to them. You know, here I thought a church was a church. I didn't realize that they were all like separate banking entities, you know, and all cared about themselves, but not the overall church, you know. It just didn't make sense. I didn't understand how it all worked.
How would they get angry? What would they say to you?
Well, the one lady from Flag, who always, when I walked in, she'd be all over me like, oh, you're so wonderful. Your husband's so evil. You're just, I don't know how you do it. You're such a big being. You're fantastic. Well, the next time, you know, I have to put money in another area of the church, she wouldn't even look at me. And I thought, what's up with her? You know, what's with her? And so the next time I went in, I said, you know, you just totally ignored me and I don't appreciate it. She said, oh, I just didn't see you. I was busy. Those people have eyes behind their heads, okay? If there's a dollar or a coin, they sniff it out. I'm not kidding. They know who's walking. They grab them by the ankles and they don't let them go till they leave. That's the truth. They do. They're just so persistent. God. So she wouldn't talk to me, and it just irritated me. And then the other one got mad because I said, well, why was this one mad at me? And then they all got mad at me. And so I was very upset by it because I thought, number one, I had done a good thing. They kept telling me, well, you know, the whole Christmas staff, if you pay your bridge, your chunk of money, they can have a Christmas bonus or they can have a Christmas salary. We're counting on you to do it by Christmas. It's all up to you. Each staff member would want to say, oh, will you buy a book from me? Because if you buy a book from me, then I get, you know, money for my kids, for presents, for Christmas. You know. And of course, I was a sap. I'd say, oh, okay. Meanwhile, my kids were all alone because I was like taking auditing. So that was the one thing that disillusioned me. I felt that I had given all this money. As soon as you give the money, you have no control. Then they have your money. Then they go, well, it's a donation, and then, hey, I didn't know you could give it to different churches. So I wouldn't ever give it to a loser church like the one in Chicago. If I was really going to do it, I'd give it to a church that, was well organized. Not like these guys. But anyway, I didn't know that then. The Scientologists that worked for me in my office, they educated me. They said, this church isn't that good. You want to go to that church. They were telling me where to go to get more bang for your buck,
Which was the good church and the bad church?
The one in California was pretty good. You'd have to fly to California. The one in Chicago didn't have, a lot of potential or higher level things. So here you have all this money for higher level things and they don't have the people to train you. Okay, that's if you look at it as a school. But the other thing that upset me was I heard the lady from Flag talking to a guy that I liked. He was a nice guy, just a friendly guy. And he had been in Scientology. He paid for his bridge when he was in the Marines. He bought his bridge in California. And I heard her talking to him saying, well, can you get a hold of your mother's IRA? Is there a chance you can dip into that? Because we really need this money. You need to put this on your bridge. And I talked to her and I said, gee, Sandy, I said, Jose is really trying to, move up the bridge. That's good. She says, oh, he's just a loser. He'll never get anywhere. He's not a big being like you. You're really a big being. You'll go far. You need to do all the L's, in Florida, because if you do that, there's nothing you can't do. Nothing. I had a friend once tell me that when they talked to him, and he was a professor at one of the best colleges, dental colleges in Chicago, they told him that he could even walk in front of a bus and nothing would happen. He's so powerful. They really pump your ego and make you think like you're a god. Anyway, when I heard her talk that way about this friend of mine, I thought, how cheap is it? Here, she doesn't think he's going to do well, and she's doing everything to get his mother's IRA. I don't understand that dual standard, it just upset me. And then I was hearing about other dentists that were getting out of it, and they were trying to lure them back in, and I thought, why are these people so upset with it, They tell you that the reason you leave is because you can't face something, or there's something bad inside of you. But the truth of the matter is, when you open your eyes and really face what they're doing, you run. And you run like hell. But it took me a few years to come out of it. I was very depressed for the first year because they replace everything that you usually do. I'm a shopper. I didn't even like to shop anymore. Do you know how that is to a woman? We like to shop. I didn't even want to shop. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about going to Europe, and I love Europe. Visiting my family there, they just kind of replaced everything. It was almost like there was no joy left for me. So that was it. And separating from my husband and tearing apart my family, that was...
How long were you separated?
We never lived separately in the house. We lived separately within the house. We never lived in separate houses. But I'd say it went on for about 4 months. And the office manager I had was really separating us. He really didn't want Bill and I back together. Because if I stayed away from Bill and we weren't together, divide and conquer, you might say.
How would he try to manipulate this?
He'd always say, well, I hope you're not going to go back with him. I hope you're not going back. You need separate checking accounts. You need your own money. You want to separate everything. He's just a loser. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Which means he didn't fall for their jargon, the whole thing. The funny thing about this kid is that he came out of the Sea Org because he had a lot of tax debt. He came out to pay the tax debt, and then he was going back in because he thought it was so cool, right? Well, he starts working for us, and the first month or two really booms the practice. He worked for us as the office manager. But while he was doing that, he kept saying how the Marcus Group were just stealing our money. He said they take your money and they don't give you a product. You don't get good staff. You don't get good training. It's just kind of a scam. He says, you know, they don't really teach you that much and they take all this money. So he was always upset with them. But then, when he started improving our statistics, they'd have him, we paid for him to go to the seminar, but they'd have him lecture at the seminar, right? And then they offered him a job with their company. In the meantime, he decides to hook up with their daughter, who works for the Marcus Group as well, okay? But there's this big decision, he'd tell me, well, they don't want her to marry someone going in the Sea Org, because that's not a good life. So if he decided to not go in the Sea Org, then he could marry Amy. Otherwise, they couldn't get married. So this was his big decision. Now, if the Sea Org is like this elite church group, why wouldn't someone want their kid going in it if it's so great? Must not be that great. But they kind of didn't like it. They didn't want him to go. And the funny thing is after they offered him money to work for them, his whole attitude towards them changed. You know, he thought they were great. They were a good group. So he boomed our statistics for like 2 months, maybe 3, and then they crashed. He quit doing his job. He was on the phone the whole time to California on my time, finding out if, you know, they were going to allow him to not have to pay $100,000 for his past training, and they could drop it down to $40,000. So he mortgaged his mother's house to finance getting out of the Sea Org. It's comical. I remember going to the management group for the courses, and I figured out one of the reasons they have you coming back all the time is so they have an opportunity to that's their word, register you. Reg means really get you. You know, put you in the room and not let you out until you pay for more courses. And one of the things they have in the course room is a big window, okay? So you're sitting at the desk with dictionaries and papers. I mean, it's very nice. It's like a library. And you feel like, this is great. This is school. So you sit there, and all the guys whose job it is to get money from you, there's guys that have that job, okay, they walk back and forth in front of the window, and they see who's there, and they see what class they can make up. Because after you've taken all the classes, they just start making them up. You know, they just figure out, okay, well, let's make up this course. And so they get you. They call you in, the secretary. You'll see the guy at the window looking, and you go, oh, God, I hope they don't pick me. And so then the secretary comes in and says, so-and-so wants to see you in the office now. The dentists, we kind of look and go, oh, we know why he's getting pulled in, you know, to get as much money as they can out of him. And so then the guy had come back a couple hours later, you know, and he's like, oh, we knew they had signed him up for more courses, you know. What that means is you got to pay now. If they needed money, they would make up a course and sign you up. And they promised us so many courses we never got. They were just making them up. And then after a while, you even forget, you know, what you signed up for and what's charged on your charge card. I know they charged on my American Express without my authorization. And they said, well, you know, we got your card mixed up with another client's card, so you know, it was an honest mistake. No, it wasn't. I don't know how many times they did that. I couldn't tell you. It's almost like it got so hopeless with the charge cards, you never really wanted to look at them too much because it would scare the pants off of you. They take a lot of debt from the charge cards.
Did they,
or create debt.
Once you pointed out those mistakes,
yes.
Did they reimburse you, or did they say, well, let's put it toward courses?
Well, they said that they had adjusted it, but then they put the charge back on. And they said it was for something else. So they never wanted to give him money back. But one time, Louis, when I went to tell him my husband was, and I weren't getting along, and the time he told me to divorce my husband, well, he also got me to sign up for $6,000 more courses. Yeah. So this is the first time I really stood up for myself. I went back in his office, face to face, and I told him, I said, I'm not taking those courses. I want my money back. I am not taking those courses. And when I was really forceful and stood up to him, then I got the money back. But they never give you money back. They give you like a penny on a dollar. I mean, they just, if you sign up for a course and you don't want it, they don't give you your money back. They don't. I don't know how they can think it's their money, but they don't. Wendy, their registrar, it was her job to get your money as fast as she could, as much as she could. And I had just been in session, kind of beat up. I had worked all day and then went into session, and this was 10 or 10:30 at night. It was late. I was really tired. I had to drive like over an hour to get home, My kid was waiting for me, poor kid, poor daughter. Anyway, and she said, you really need to sign up for these courses today, and I said, I don't want to. I'm tired. Well, you want to really do well in life, don't you? And you want to improve yourself, and you have to do this. And she had me with the head of the church in their office. Now, we know you're so fantastic that you can do anything you set your mind to. Now, you are a special being. You're very special to us. So you really have to do this. I said, I don't want to. I never do stuff like that. I don't want to call the church. Go ahead, call. Get an equipment loan. Tell them it's for equipment. Do whatever. Go ahead and call. I said, I don't want to call. I said, if you want to call, you call. But I don't want to call. I'm not calling. So she got on the phone and she said she was me, to the Bank of Alaska. And she said she wanted to get equipment and a loan, and she told me how you stay on the phone till you find a person that's nice. You just keep going through people till you get one in your same tone level, That's a nice, happy person. And so I think they got thousands of dollars that night. Thousands. And I was just kind of like in a zombie state. I was like, okay. It's not like I really knew what I was doing. Well, when I was doing the purification rundown, that's the big vitamin thing where they really give you too many vitamins, okay? And you're in there in that sauna for hours and vomiting and feeling sick. And well, it was my daughter's birthday, and she was in camp in Indiana, and I had like a 2.5 hour drive to go see her. And I had been in this stupid sauna all day, sweating, and oh my God. And so it was about over, and the lady that was at the desk in the sauna room, she says, well, you have to go see Wendy when you're done. And I knew what that meant. That meant she would corner me in her office for hours till she got money out of me. First of all, I didn't want to pay any money. Number two, I didn't have hours. It was my daughter's birthday. So I said to her, tell her I'm not seeing her today. They make you go for the purif every day. So I said, I'll see her tomorrow. I got to go today. She said, I have orders. You have to see her today. I said, I'm not. I'm leaving. She said, you have to go. I'm instructed to take you in there physically if I have to. And she started to grab my arm. I said, leave me alone. I felt like I was cornered and trapped, and I don't like to feel like that. Or like I was in grade school again. I said, I'll go by myself. Leave me alone. So I had flip-flops on and a muumuu because I had a swimsuit on, And I go straight through the building, flip, in front of Wendy coolly, and I go, what do you want, Wendy? And she had some poor sucker in there trying to get money from him, and her eyes got real big, and she goes, well, I didn't yell it. What's the matter? I said, it's my daughter's birthday, and I'm going to Indiana, and I'm leaving now. She goes, well, okay, I didn't know you had to go somewhere. I said, right. And I turned around, I flip, 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 out of there. But, you know, there's that thought there, you know, God, they're really trying to control you. They control you. That's their thing. You have a course on how to control people, how to take them and lead them where you want and make them do what you want. And I don't like being controlled. And for any Scientologist listening, I have not had any psychotherapy. I have not seen a psychiatrist. I have not taken any kind of drugs, okay? Because as soon as you do that, they think that you're not valuable anymore, that you're not thinking for yourself. The real truth is, I'm thinking for myself now. I wasn't before, and now I am. And they should all get a wake-up call and start thinking for themselves a little bit. Start reading the newspaper. Start listening to the news. Start mixing with the outside world again and see what it's like.
And you were told not to do those things.
Oh, right. Everything's evil. The news media, they're all just trying to stir it up and get you all upset. It's not true. It's not important. The news, the TV, the newspapers, of course, they don't want you to read anything that might make you think for yourself. That's the first thing they do, is knock out, you know, your contact with the outside world. It's kind of like a noose going around your neck. Your whole circle of friends shrinks and shrinks until all you have around you are Scientologists telling you whatever they want. But you really can't see that their end purpose is money. You know, they prostitute. Everything revolves around $1. It's a money cult. That's what it is. They'll do anything, say anything, lie, cheat, steal, whatever, for the dollar. That's how it is. And the other night when we went to photograph outside of the church and you were attacked, I felt like it was kind of like Nazi Germany, to have these police jump out of plainclothes hired by the church, invading our rights to be on the sidewalk and taking your tape, you know, of what we recorded before. I mean, I kept saying, hey guys, this is America. This is not Nazi Germany. But they were being paid by the church, see? These are their tactics. Who knows, you know, what they're going to say about my husband and I? And who cares? You know? First you think you're the only sucker on the earth, you know, or the only one that's been taken. And then I started talking to the mother of a dentist who gave his entire life savings and everything, is divorcing his wife. He gave all the money to the Church of Scientology because of the Marcus Group. And I was involved in telling, you know, initially he would be in the courses with us and I said, gee, this is a good thing, you know, and it's good. But he went way off the deep end. And I tried to talk to him to get him back, you know, and he just wasn't listening. So I had talked to this young man's mother. I had talked to this dentist's mother, and she gave me the name of Jim Beebe, and she said, call him, that he used to work for CAN, the Cult Awareness Network. But now Scientology has taken over the Cult Awareness Network. And in fact, at all their meetings, like New Year's, they had big TV screens, and it's a big indoctrination propaganda thing. And one of the main things was that they took over CAN, the Cult Awareness Network, and everyone went, yay, we have their symbol, we have this. So now anyone that calls the Cult Awareness Network is speaking to a Scientologist, which Scientology is essentially a cult. So, you know, they're talking to someone that's in a cult. When I found out about Jim Beebe, and I called him and spoke to him, it just gave me such a boost, such a joy to have someone that had been in there and knew what it was about. He told me, yes, you know, what you're thinking is right, and yes, it's true. We were very happy because you kind of you hate the Marcus group, you know, for funneling you into the Church of Scientology initially. And the people there, you know, you're angry at them. And then you turn inward and you're fighting with your spouse. So it was very comforting to find someone that could help you. I mean, he was like a big Band-Aid. He was fabulous. And after I talked to him, I felt like, oh my God, there's hope, because I'd been fighting this battle alone for the past 2 years, trying to get my money back and trying to deal with my feelings and questioning what happened. And so then I said to Bill, I said, you've got to talk to this guy. He's great. He just really puts it in a good perspective and makes you feel okay. I mean, there's a certain amount of embarrassment and you feel like you were duped and how could you be so stupid? And I mean, whatever anyone's thinking, believe me, you think it. You know, how could this happen? But I'm just telling you, it happens. And I know a lot of dentists here that have been taken by these people. They won't talk about it, but they have. And some of them are still in it and are in the deep end. You know, they're going to end up being waiters and not practicing their profession and just being zombies. They take all their money. They get them to divorce their wives. They don't care if they have little kids. Their purpose is greater than your purpose. Their purpose is to get every penny you have, to get everything. That's the goal. And then to get your mind. We had told him about the incident the week before where my husband and I had gone in. We had gone to go for a meeting for a refund check, okay, which they've had for like over 1.5 years, and they keep holding it out like a carrot. It's money that we had as a credit. And so we went to talk about that, and my husband put his hand on the door, and they had this big, you know, fat guy in front of the door, and he was wouldn't let my husband in. And he said, where's the signed papers? Where's the signed papers? They want you to sign waivers. This is their thing. You have to sign the waiver to get your money. But if you involve an attorney to sign the waiver or anybody else, then they're not going to give you your money back. Well, the way these waivers are worded, you can't figure out what they're talking about. Of course you need an attorney. Never do they want you to have your rights. You know, they want to tell you what to do, what to sign, when to sign. They never want you to have your rights. If they're not hiding something, then why don't they let you just get a legal advice? Seems to me like I'd say, go get legal advice so you're fine with this. No, if you include a lawyer, then they don't even want to deal with you, which is totally wrong. So he wouldn't let us in unless we had the signed papers, and I had questions on it. You know, there's a lot of affiliated groups. Well, what is that? I want to know exactly what affiliated groups are. It could be, you know, a group we're suing. So he had his hand on the door. We started yelling, we want our money. So they had the doors blocked, and my husband saw police across the street, and he yelled, officer, officer. And so the police came over, and we said, these people swindled us out of our money. We're here to get our money back. They made an appointment. Now they won't let us in. So it was a big brouhaha, you know, we're all like. So I told the police, you know, a little bit about the cult and everything, and they set up an appointment for 7:30 Tuesday. And that's when you came, you know, to go to that meeting with us to film it and to ask if they would let you come in. And that was when they had all their heavy guns ready, you know, like they were being attacked. They had the whole street staked out. They had all the windows papered so you couldn't see in, or the people inside couldn't see out, you know. And so that's when you were jumped and taken away, then they wanted to talk to me. And I said, I see the kind of reception you give, and I see how you want to negotiate. I said, I don't think I'm going to sign any papers on the street because I don't have a dictionary so I can look up every word, now do I? And that's when she said, well, I have a quiet place inside. And, you know, and here's these women, they must be 50, 60 years old, and they're talking like zombies. You know, they don't even make sense. They can't even think for themselves. They don't they don't even know how to get a piece of paper without someone saying, you can take the paper from that pile. You know, you can make the fax now. They don't just know how to do it. They have to ask permission for every little step. That's how controlled they are. It's really sad, you know. These people, their bodies are deteriorating, but they don't care because they have, you know, another life right after. You know, it's not like they really take care of themselves. It's sad. It's really sad. Well, the other night, after you were tackled, you know, for being on the sidewalk and taken away, Pam Valinsky came out on the sidewalk and she said, we want you to come inside. I told the officers there, I don't want to go inside. What if they get me down there and never let me out or kill me or something? I said, I know a friend of mine that they had down there and he was afraid. He said there were 3 or 4 of them around him and he's a small man. He couldn't get out. He said, I was worried. I felt really afraid. And it comes to that where you get kind of feeling a little afraid, like, whoa, these people are really kind of fanatic and bizarre. Who knows what they're going to pull? So I said to the policeman, I'm not going down there. So I said, they have to come out on the street. You come out on the street. I said, I'm not going in there. And I moved down by the little restaurant next door because I didn't even want to be in front of their place. But so they came out on the street and she said, well, you know, we don't want the truth to come out now, do we? If we have to go to court to give you back your money, it's going to be ugly. She kind of threatened me. You know, they use threats a lot to keep you quiet. And she threatened, you know, that if we have to go to court, it could be really ugly. And I said, well, it would be nice if the truth really did come out. But, you know, I think they're going to keep it from coming out. But the first thing you do when you go to one of those groups is they have you write up your overts and withholds, okay? Any thought you ever had in your life, your whole life since you were a kid, any deed that you did that was wrong, they want you to write it down to help cleanse you, because the Catholic Church doesn't really have a way of helping you deal with it, but they do. So you write it all out and get it out, and, you know, and then supposedly they shred it. But I think they never shred it. They keep it on everyone and they use that. And they refer to that if, you know, if they want to. They refer to it. And if they don't have anything on you, then they just make it up. They make it up anyway, you know.
The people that I've talked to have, you know, become angry and have no sympathy and are relentless. And then they go up the scale and they become bored or disinterested in order to get you to comply with their wishes. It's a technique that they use to control people and to manipulate people. They use it on the students that are in the classroom, and then they teach you that in order to control your patients.
I remember Ravane lecturing to us and saying, you have to pressure the patients. If you care about them, you have to pressure the patients to see that they get the work they need. You really can't lighten up. If you lighten up, you're not doing what you should be doing, because if you really care about them and you know the work they need, you have to push them. You have to get them to do it. You have to push them. And that's what they were doing to us too. You know, they were pushing us, like in the name of good. It was going in their pockets, you know.
They substitute their jargon, their thinking, their line in your mind because they gain control that way. And then they can manipulate you, and then they can chew you up and spit you out once they got all your money. You're useless to them after that.
It just reminded me of like sheeps going to the slaughter. And I never thought I was a sheep myself, but you know, I always thought I was pretty strong and forceful, but I was a sheep going to the slaughter, just like the timid ones, you know. We were all going on the same road. And if someone didn't agree with them, they didn't care. Go. They found somebody else. They do so many massive mailers. And what they say in the mailers is so appealing because they study what appeals to the dentists. They know exactly what to say so that they always have big group of dentists coming. Then if they dirty up one area, like this area, they move out of state, like to DC or to another state, see, and then they work over there. You know, and they have dentists flying over there for their courses.
Did you ever fly over to LA or down to Flag?
We flew to Florida. They try to get you close to their locations, to get you used to going that way, so that when you go for yourself, it's no big deal. We went to Florida for one of their owners' seminars. All the most successful docs got to go, And we got to go, and they give you an award, especially if they haven't taken all your money. Then you get a lot of awards, okay? Then they're like, oh, you're wonderful. I really think that the Marcus Group is like a funnel group for the Church of Scientology. They just funnel you into the church. First you think it's for business, because had I known that it was for a Scientology religion, I would never go. If they said, well, here, we're going to teach you all this, our religion, I would never go. But what they teach you is their religion. They teach it to you and you don't even know they're teaching it to you. And then they get you going on it, But they've been doing this for a long time to a lot of dentists. All these L. Ron Hubbard-based groups. And they leave devastating in their wake that the public never hears about. Because, for 10 cents on the dollar, they buy these doctors off. Maybe they owe you $30,000 that you have in credits. You've never taken those courses. Credits. And they say, well, you have to sign a waiver, which just about signs over your firstborn to them. It's a gag order, and we'll give you back $6,000. That's it. Because no more package deal. If you're not going to pay for everything, then it's a lot more expensive. And they actually steal their money like that. They're ruthless, and they go on. And they don't care. They don't care what they're doing.
I feel that, that I was wronged. I feel that they damaged my business and my credit and my credibility and jeopardized my licensure with my profession. And I intend to get satisfaction.
These management groups are ruthless. And you have to be real careful of getting involved in any group like that. They all have the same end goal. Their purpose is to get every penny you have. That's the goal. And then to get your mind.
Well, there you have it. I haven't watched this in a while, at least all the way through. And I'm amazed by all the information that they got out in this interview. Both Bill and Barbara Zizik, I think, did a fantastic job of explaining exactly how these management courses work, how Scientology works. And before we watched this, I was talking about the fact that I met a chiropractor and her husband in Clearwater not too long ago. It was a night when Aaron was out on the street with several of his followers, having people honk as they drove by. And this couple drove up, parked, and the wife came over, really curious because she knew nothing about Scientology, and she and her husband had signed up for these courses, and again paid, tens of thousands of dollars for the tech. And I can't remember exactly right now the name of the front group that they were involved with, but I was explaining that in this video, which I sent them, they'd see exactly the experience that they'd be getting themselves into, or already were into, because they were there for some training. And as I believe I said before this interview, which we showed, that it's all Scientology, and there were things that that you learn in the coursework about suppressive persons. And he said, yeah, I just did that today. Oh my God, they were just asking me about who do I know that's suppressive. I want out. And her husband was, listen, we paid the money. We're learning some stuff. The wife was very, very concerned, and I said to the two of them, watch this video, because Barbara Zizik says right in the video, dump your husband. If he's holding you back, dump him. And she looked at her husband and said, did you hear that? You want me to dump you? So I hope that they took that to heart. I haven't mentioned them before this because I didn't necessarily want them tracked down, but I knew that we were, they were standing out with us for half an hour or more, talking with the SPs right in front of Flag across from the Fort Harrison. I knew that everyone we talked to, they were taking pictures of and getting their license plates. So I assumed that by now, long before now, they knew who we were talking to. And, I wish them well. I said, listen, you can learn some basic management techniques from it, sure, but they're also going to be telling you hard sell tactics that will eventually drive your clients away, and they'll want all the Scientologists, all your staff to be Scientologists, so they know how much money you make, so they know how much to drain from you, and glean what you can from it, and just make sure you don't sign up for Scientology, essentially. And I've never heard back from them at all. I should try checking with them, but if I do find out something, I'll let you know. I hope you enjoyed watching that tonight. I think it's a remarkable interview with these two, and I'm glad we had a chance to record it and put it up on the LMT website and have it online ever since then. So for 25 years, this has been out there to educate people, protect folks who might be considering joining one of these Y seminars. I also, during the LMT years, we would put out things like this, and then we would get videos from other Scientologists who would sit down in front of their cameras and send them in. There were a couple of people. I know Peter and Abby Lazarnik sent in one. And I need to dig out wherever those videos are buried and convert them and put them back online. This is interesting hearing the experiences from these folks who just decided, you know what, this whole idea of talking into a camera and putting it online sounds like a good idea. And it's changed Scientology's world. It's made it more and more difficult to do what they do. So I'm asking, I see people asking here, did I do, let me bring it up here. Well, did I do a series in Europe? Coffee first, please. Okay. I wouldn't call it a series, but while I was in Leipzig for one of the events that Bob was part of, one year he received the first alternative Charlemagne Award. The Charlemagne Award is a big award that is given out every year. The alternative Charlemagne Award was given out because one of the recipients that year, and I don't remember who it was, but the Charlemagne Award went to somebody who was not that negative about Scientology or something. So they decided, we're going to create our own, and we're going to give it to Bob Minton. So we went over for that. And while I was there, I sat down and interviewed, I think, 3 different women on the streets of Leipzig. And, they had really interesting stories to tell about I think two of them at least were Sea Org gals, and their experiences there. And then there was one young woman who, as I recall, and I haven't watched it in decades, but I think she had a relationship that was kind of broken up because of Scientology. So I'll dig those out as well. I did a horrible job with the videotaping of those. They're all washed out, just like the Jason Begay video years later. So the picture looks horrible, but the stories are important. Vivian was one of the women. Can't think of the name offhand of the other two, but I will dig those videos up and try to clean them up as best as possible. I did convert the videos you watched tonight to 4K, so they're looking a lot better than they did. And filled with, really, if I don't, if I'm tooting my own horn, filled with pretty amazing stuff. And that's largely thanks to the folks who are talking. And Coffee First, still worth watching, even though it's washed out. Yep, you're right. Steph, we're waiting for the videos. We'll get it. Busy Bumblebee, information is more important than the look. That's true, but a lot of times there are people, if they look crappy, they'll just go, yeah, I can't be bothered. For those of us who are really fascinated with the subject, it can be as crappy as all get out, and we'll still want to glean what we can from it. Thank you, FYT 54321. Profound video archives of Mark Bunker. So many remarkable stories. Hopefully more to come. And I see we've gone another 2.5 hours here. Both of these videos of my arrest and of this interview, I have published, and they're unpublished right now, but after I'm done with this, I will push the button so anyone who wants to watch just the videos without all of this background material, they'll be available. And I'll do that for every video that I produce like this, where I'm babbling away. And I hope the babbling is interesting. It seems like you folks enjoy the babble. Swedish Lena, we've been loving every minute. Thank you. Even when I accidentally find myself on the screen, I meant to do a little side thing like here, where I would pop in and go, hey, thanks for the compliment. Instead, I took over the whole screen. So we love the babble. Thank you, Kelly. Was there anything else? I think there was something. Oh, good. Oh, she mentioned Maureen O'Keefe at one point. Maureen O'Keefe is a longtime Scientologist who was there when I was arrested. And I think her name is on my arrest report as one of the folks who were complainants. And I ran across Maureen again back in Clearwater the year after these videos were shot. She came out during the protests against Ursula Caberta being in Clearwater. So it was surprising for me to see a Maureen from, I thought, Chicago, on the streets of Clearwater. I now know she lives here. And I know that because when I was on the city council, we had something called Neighborhood Days. And one Saturday every year, there are like neighborhood picnics. And so the mayor and city council and staff members from the city would travel around to each of the neighborhoods, or as many neighborhoods as we could hit. You couldn't hit every single one of them, but they were divvied up. So we would hit maybe 10. And one of them that I went to, Maureen lived in. And it was a neighborhood right off of Drew Street, a very busy, dangerous street, one of the main streets from the highway down to the beach. And there's an accident almost every day on that street. And the people who've been living on that street were begging for years and years and years for something to be done about that. And we were about to do a vote on that. So when I came to that neighborhood on Neighborhoods Day, and there are all the signs up there about safe Drew Street, I went up to one of the women and said, "I'm with you. I'm voting to get these safety measures in, and I'm thrilled to be able to help you with this." And so I'm talking to one woman who's excited to hear about this. And then there's another issue she wants to talk about down the block where there's a lot of debris that's been dumped there. And can I do something about that? And as we're heading out to talk about that and see that, a Marine comes and grabs her by the arm and drags her away from me in the middle of my sentence. And then I realized, this entire neighborhood is a Scientology neighborhood. And one by one, Maureen told everybody, "Don't talk to that guy. He's an SP." And I still said, to them, I'm still working for you, and we're going to get the safety here. And then we voted in the safety, and the business community hated it so much that they worked very hard to get rid of me. So that was one of the things I was fighting for. We finally, after years and years, brought safety to that neighborhood. And then the next council who replaced us said, "Nah, yeah, we don't care if there are more accidents, if more people are killed in accidents, if more property is damaged. We don't care. It's going to slow down traffic to the downtown. It's going to be bad for business." And I pointedly mentioned in meetings directly to the head of the business community, the problem downtown is not traffic. Problem is Scientology, who's your partner in the Chamber of Commerce for Clearwater, called Amplify Clearwater. Scientology is a partner. Well, your partner should be doing something about the empty buildings down there, or they should not be part of Amplify Clearwater. And I guess the things like that are why the business community said, we got to get rid of him. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get back. Swedish. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $14.99. It was a huge help. We absolutely adore you and what you've accomplished over the years, and we look forward to many more. Well, I'll keep at it. Communication is the universal solvent. There you go. Krista, I've seen 2 of these videos from Europe. They are so heartbreaking. Can't wait to see the 3rd one. All right. I will find those. Let's see. Love the babbling. Okay. Maybe I'll get back. Are you going to run again, Mark? Well, I mean, that's possible. There's an election again in 2026. I go around and people are stopping me and saying that they want me to run again. And, I was at a groundbreaking ceremony for the new city hall that we voted to construct just a couple of months ago, and all the police and firefighters who were there and at other places as well said, we want you back. You're a big supporter of us. Because I was, having been a shop steward. My dad was in the union. I was a shop steward myself at Universal Studios. I've always, been a supporter of unions. And so I made sure that the police and fire got their due. And I think that's a large reason why I got the endorsement of both police and fire. So, it's promising. We'll see. We'll see how I'm doing in 2026. they always complained. Other candidates would say, "Oh, look at all these old people on the council. You need some young blood." And I'd say, "Well, sure, but after I go, then you can have the young blood." So we'll see if a cranky old guy can win in 2026. I'll give it a shot. That would be awesome if I ran again. It would be. I'm not sure. It may be it will be an entirely different environment in 2 years, because the race that we had in 2024 was a particularly tough race because Biden was not on the ballot. Trump was. So you had all the Trump supporters come out. And I had a lot of Trump supporters backing me. Democrat, Republican, Whig Party, everybody is pissed off at Scientology. So I cross all party lines. But the Republican Party and the Scientologists were dead set to get rid of me. So the Republicans backed an entire slate of candidates and really sent out mailers every single day for their slate of candidates. All three of those people swept into office. So you may not have that strong headwind in 2026, and it is still time to consider all this. But I would like to. I would like to give it another shot. It was a great feeling to be able to help people in that way. Kelly, it was pretty close. It was close. The woman who was running for mayor, who was, a friend, and we were on the same vibe for the most part. She was a hardworking politician who was knocked on virtually every single door in the city. And I just couldn't do that. I was not able to do that with, the health issues that I was dealing with at the time. And Kathleen had so much support in the community. And I got more votes than her, not knocking on doors, which was a little surprising. But they had, the Republicans had a really, I think, nasty campaign. And I hadn't encountered this before personally. And they didn't really hit me with it, although I voted all the same ways as Kathleen did, and so did most of the people on the council. But they hit her over the head with the fact that we approved a new city hall. And they were saying we were spending $91 million for a city hall, when in fact we were spending $31 million. And I hope you don't mind me griping about this, but to see the lies that were put out in this campaign was different from when I first ran for office. And I've never seen it on our local level before, where they were so content to lie. And then when I went to the groundbreaking ceremony for the city hall that these newly elected mayor and council members desperately didn't want to have built, but it was too late because it was approved and it's being constructed. At the groundbreaking ceremony, the mayor, who was saying that we're building a Taj Mahal to ourselves for $91 million, he said from the stage, from the hard work of this council, we've gotten that price down to $35 million. Oh, good. So we approved 31. You brought it all the way down to 35. Well, nice job. That's politics. And, so that's what I want to leap back into. I'm a dope. I like to tell the truth. I like to just be honest. Anyway, Does the council have a good relationship with the Tampa Bay Times? Well, I don't know about the current people who just got elected, but I would just say that overall, the city, Tracy McManus was on the Clearwater political beat, as well as Scientology, and she was good. She was good. And I don't think this City Hall in any city probably likes seeing any negative press. But she was always fair. And I learned a lot from her stories that nobody in City Hall had told me about in some cases. But there was a real feeling that, and let me just say, Bumblebee, bless you. I really appreciate the support. It helps me continue and to keep doing bigger and better stuff. As I was saying, I don't think any city wants the prying reporter digging up dirt on them. But the general feeling I still encountered within the city was, we want to keep Scientology off the front page of the paper. And I don't think that's wise. You're not going to appease Scientology. So I would always argue that, and especially I mean, we had a woman that I really liked. She was a very nice person who ran the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Act, allows you to kind of loosen construction and other rules in the city. It makes it easier for business to actually come in and Marcy, thank you so much for the super sticker. Bless you. It makes it easier for businesses to and cheaper. Loosens up regulations to help people kind of redevelop a neighborhood, as we're trying to do downtown and we're trying to do in the North Greenwood area. The woman who was in charge of the CRA when I was first joining, she especially did not like having Scientology being talked about. Talked about or not, Scientology was never going to do what the city wanted. She has since taken a job down in Texas, I think, and there are new people in there. I wish them the best of luck. I hired the latest guy who's in there now, and he was just there started a month or so before I left office, and I hope to heavens he's doing a swell job. I have confidence in him. Don't forget to hit like. That's true. And I always forget to say it. Subscribe, like, share, all that kind of stuff. Ring that bell. So are there other things that you wanted to talk about before we bring this to a close? Because we are at 2 hours and 43 minutes right now, for God's sakes. I like to keep these down to like 10 minutes. And yet somehow I start talking and here we are. Anyway, I can't think of anything else that I wanted to share with you, but it has been fun spending the night with you again. I'll try to have something tomorrow for you. Try to make this a daily thing. All right. And your support helps me accomplish that. So I tell you what, I'm going to just say goodnight to you all. And wait a minute. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I had a new outro, but it's gone. I don't have it up here. So I was going to play that. Instead, I'm just going to have to say, good night, everybody. Bye.